Joining us now, it's been a while, Congressman from the 6th District of Virginia, Republican Ben Cline. Congressman Cline, great to have you.
John, always great to be with you. How's everything going today?
Never better. So Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin told you guys yesterday that he's ready to restart negotiations with Speaker, I got to get my hair done without a mask in secret, Nancy Pelosi, on another massive coronavirus. Well, first of all, before we get to politics, I mean, come on, Congressman. You saw the video of Nancy Pelosi lurking into the hairstylist place, no mask. It's closed to the public, but she goes in. What is up with that?
It's just when you compare it with the sanctimony of her mask mandate admonitions, it just reveals the hypocrisy of the left. It's masks for thee, but not for me. Haircuts for home haircuts for thee, but not for me. I get to go to the salon. So that one is going to sting a while, I think, for her, because it just undercuts everything she's trying to do. This big government scheme she's got going on, it just really does undercut all those efforts. And the mockery is the best attitude for that kind of approach on her end.
Well, Ben, she's such a phony. I mean, she's going on to telling everybody you got to put a mask on and all this and that, and her own area, they're shutting down the salons. And you know who put the video out? The owner. It was the owner of the salon that was pissed off and had the video from the security camera. It was the owner that said, I can't believe she can come in and get her hair done. How she got in there, I haven't got the bottom of that if you're the owner, but she can come in and get her hair done, and I can't open up my business to make a living.
Well, she rents out the slots in her salon, and the person who was renting out that space, got a call from Pelosi's people saying she's coming in to have her hair done, and this woman gave her special treatment, and they had just allowed outdoor the day before. So the day before, she couldn't even come on the property. But that day she was supposed to be outside. Nobody could come inside except for Queen Nancy. And that's just a shame that she doesn't think enough of her constituents to want to try and make changes for them, and instead allows Gavin Newsom to destroy businesses and destroy lives in California.
The hypocrisy of it all is stunning, no question about it. Okay, let's get to another coronavirus package. Now they're restarting negotiations. You guys are involved in this. What exactly are they negotiating? What do you want? Where are we in this, Ben? Cline.
Well, the president really took the legs out from under Speaker Pelosi. She had been sitting back saying, I'm not going to negotiate. Take up my $3 trillion boondoggle gargantuan bill that the bailouts of New York and California and all the other non-coronavirus related stuff that was in that bill, and we're going to negotiate from that. Well, when the president took action, he took her legs out from under her and said, you don't have any position to negotiate from. I'm going to do it for you and get done what the people need, which is emergency assistance right now for the coronavirus. So the president got it done. That kind of put us at a stalemate where there was no negotiation for a while, but now she's coming back to the table. The Senate's always been ready to negotiate. The White House has always been ready to negotiate. So I'm glad to see that there's some discussion, because we need liability reform for these small businesses and for these educational institutions where litigious, happy lawyers, and every lawyer, can be litigious happy, but they're ready to sue or take up the case of anybody who caught coronavirus in one of these establishments. We've got to protect these small businesses, which are fragile as it is, from these frivolous lawsuits. So we need liability reform.
We're with Ben Cline, Republican Congressman, 6th District, Virginia. That's the Lynchburg area on down towards Roanoke. So, Congressman Cline, the White House saying they would support now a $1.3 trillion package. That's up from $1.1 trillion. And Pelosi coming down from, I guess, $2.2 trillion to $2.1. There's still $1 trillion apart. In the president's package, in the administration's package that I assume is backed by your caucus and McCarthy, what is in that?
Well, there's more in terms of some unemployment relief, although not as much as the $600, which was more of a disincentive to work for a lot of companies down our way, where the cost of living is not so high. That level of unemployment bonus was just too high for a lot of small businesses. They lost their employees to unemployment, whereas the CARES Act itself and the PPP program was designed to prevent people from leaving small businesses or being let go during the worst of the pandemic and declaring unemployment. So we've got some more business assistance similar to the PPP. We've got more unemployment assistance, possibly another emergency assistance payment. But, the pandemic is progressing and decreasing. The death rates are hopefully decreasing across the country, not everywhere, but our numbers out in western part of Virginia are stable. We had the spike in northern Virginia. Then they had the spike in Tidewater with the start of summer. Now we're seeing hot spots in places with universities, but we have to reevaluate what kinds of assistance are necessary in light of the development of the coronavirus. Is this unemployment payment still necessary when unemployment is now down near or below 10%? These are questions that I think need to be answered before we go and vote for another $1 trillion in debt borrowed from China.
Let's get to the CDC numbers. Yesterday, a couple of days ago, the CDC, Center for Disease Control, were with Congressman Ben Cline, Republican, 6th District, Virginia. Congressman, this kind of sneaks out. CDC says, well, we reviewed everything, and actually there's been 9,200 people that have died in America, 9,200 from only COVID-19. All the other 177,000 deaths, everybody had underlying circumstances. They had high blood pressure. They were suffering from other moribund diseases. And but there's only 9,200 that actually died. That was it from COVID. 60,000 people died last year from the flu. 9,200 died from COVID-19 only. Does that number, which is not picked up in the legacy fake news media because it doesn't fit their narrative, I mean, is that a number that got anybody's attention? Like, why did we do all this for that?
It is a stunning number, and every person who has died, whether you have no comorbidities or, as the CDC says, at least two comorbidities, which are underlying situations like respiratory disease or something else, is tragic, and we need to remember every single person who has died. But for those people who have, under 10,000 people have died from just the coronavirus alone, that is a stunning figure, and I think government needs to evaluate how we move forward in light of that number. I mean, we want to tackle this virus. We want to beat this virus. We're working hard toward a vaccine, and we've got in-person trials underway, and hopefully we'll see a vaccine soon. We also have to get this economy going. We have to get this country started. We have to get kids back in school and learning, universities operating safely, and we're having some troubles with that. JMU in my district just announced yesterday that they're going virtual now, sending the kids back home after only 2 weeks of classes, which is very disappointing. So we've got to reevaluate in light of these new numbers.
When JMU said, I mean, colleges now they convened, a couple people test positive, they send everybody home. But they're still charging, the same tuition. And a lot of kids that we talk to, they don't want to go home. They want to go to college. I mean, my son is talking to a college, East Carolina University, for baseball, and the coach was telling him the other day that, their kids just went online and they all hate it. They just want to go back to school. And, what happens is, somebody in a dorm tests positive, and then everybody panics, and the mob gets involved on social media and says the school has to close and everybody will die. So they're forced to go home. So when JMU makes this decision, do they look at how it's impacting, or is it just they're just making it because they're pressured into it by the social media mobsters?
Well, unfortunately, I think you see a lot of instances of the squeaky wheel getting the grease, where those who are complaining the loudest about staying in person are the ones who are responded to first, whereas those students who are ready to go to class, ready to be on campus, and willing to take tough social distancing measures, not go to the parties, not crowd into the dining hall. They're ready to have a toned down in-person experience, but they're not going to get that because one size apparently fits all for these huge bureaucracies.
Right.
If one person has vulnerabilities, then the whole campus has to shut down, and that's not the way it should be.
No, absolutely not. John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth across America. We're with Ben Cline, Congressman, Republican, 6th District, Virginia. That's the Lynchburg to Roanoke area, pretty big district. Congressman Cline, I just want to get back to the $1.3 trillion package that Treasury Secretary and the administration is supporting, trying to get through. Unemployment, federal assistance on top of the $350 a week that people get in the majority of states. I think we get that. We also might be another emergency payout for people that are faced with evictions and stuff, need the cash. Okay, we get that. But then you also mentioned PPP. How would that work? Would this be for companies that haven't applied for the PPP? Would this be for companies that already have gotten some of the PPP money and now there's a second set of money? Like, how would that work?
I understand that they're talking about a new round of PPP eligibility, even for those who have received it before. Again, we've got to remember this was for those places that were seeing zero foot traffic, these types of businesses that,
right.
Absent this, they were told by state government, our governor, Ralph Northam, told them, you have to shut down. So to me, it was a taking. And then we talked about this before, where it's not an eminent domain violation, but in terms of government's action, they took that potential to get that profit from the business, from the mouths of the owners of business. So they owed the businesses that. Now we're in a situation where businesses can open. Our governor is still being heavy-handed in application of these rules, and I think that the General Assembly should have curtailed his authority by putting a renewal clause or some kind of limit in terms of how long his authority should last under these situations. But the businesses still need help, so hopefully we can get them something. If it's a new round of PPP, I really need to see some strong liability protections before I'm going to support another $1 trillion in debt borrowed from China. No,
look, I think you're spot on with that. It's the liability that's the big issue why a lot of companies are not opening. And remember, the original PPP, I don't remember, but there was a time frame there, like a certain point to a certain point, and that time frame's gone. So now I could see why you might have another round, because there are still a lot of businesses that money helped them keep some employees for a while. Now it's run out, and they're still shut down, or they're still business is way down. So I get that. Okay, I've got a couple more minutes. I want to shift to your former colleague, John Ratcliffe, who has decided not to have in-person briefings for the House on foreign interference in elections, saying that was going to be in written form. The Democrats seizing on that, Pelosi's hair before she had it done caught fire. Adam Schiff went crazy, saying that it was just because the Trump administration is colluding with foreign governments and they don't want to give Congress oversight access to that, and it had to be in person. And everybody just went berserk over it. What say you?
Well, it's just the chance for Adam Schiff to get back in front of the cameras and promote the lies that he's been pushing for years now. He's living the lie, and he can't give it up. It's like a crack addict. He can't give it up. So he wants his in-person attention from the administration. He wants the information so that he can leak it, and he's proven to have, been too friendly with the press on multiple occasions with sensitive information. And so what we found is that Ratcliffe, who's an upstanding guy, great guy, friend from Judiciary Committee, would rather submit things in writing. He's not hiding anything from Congress. He's not keeping anything from the American people, but he doesn't have time for the press show that Adam Schiff wants to put on and stand in front of the cameras. He's got the work of the people to do, and I commend him for what he's doing.
So for us laymen that are not there in these hearings, when I first saw that, I'm like, okay, so you're going to get a written document. You're going to have your staff. Adam Schiff's not going to read it. Either is any of the other people there. So they're going to have their staff read it. And there's anything in it that's questionable, that's written, it's going to get to Schiff, and he's going to pick up the phone and call Ratcliffe, who's going to return his call because he's chairman of a committee in the majority, and he's going to return his call and answer his questions. And if need be, they'll call him in for a special hearing. That's what I got out of it when they first sent the release out. I didn't think anything of it. It's like, okay, well, they're just streamlining the process. And as you say, there's no cameras there for this circus. But if it's written and there's something in it that's questionable, Adam Schiff can just pick up the phone and call Ratcliffe at the DNI. He's going to return his call in 5 minutes. What's the problem?
Right. Contrary to what Nancy Pelosi has said, calling Republicans and Donald Trump enemies of the state, essentially, which is such such an accusation I've never heard from another American, and it's just so ridiculous that the speaker would go so low. But we're all Americans, and we all are working to protect America. And so John Ratcliffe is going to respond to the call from the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. If he has a question for John Ratcliffe, he's going to call him back. And really what they want is a chance to just grill him in a hearing setting and try and trap him in questions from staff. And Ratcliffe isn't going to have it. He's a savvy Paul, and he knows exactly how to deal with Adam Schiff, which is to shut him down from all of the mischief he's trying to create and just get to the facts, and that's what he's trying to do.
Ben Cline, I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for clearing up some of these issues. Great to have you back on the John Fredericks Show. Congressman Ben Cline, Republican, Virginia's 6th District. If you don't know where it is, Lynchburg to Roanoke. Hey, Congressman, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks, John.
I enjoyed it.